when Trudeau won, and frankly, in the last 6 months of the Harper government, who didn't want somebody else to win? I mean, it was getting bad, right? This was an old, tired government that was getting nasty. And I wrote, I want them to do well. We all want our governments to do well, whether we're liberals or conservatives. And there are things that Trudeau has done that I think are wrong. I don't believe in deficits. I certainly don't believe in $50 billion deficits at a time of economic growth. What's that for? But other stuff he's done, he's handled well, and especially he's handled foreign affairs well. He signs the executive order, Trump does, with this ban. So you have a policy decision to make, and you have a messaging decision to convey. The policy decision was simple. If you've been banned from entering the United States, you'll be automatically granted temporary residency. Now, some media organizations interpreted that as anybody who was banned from entering the United States is welcome to enter Canada. That's not what the policy was. And it got corrected over time, but that was the right policy. And then he tweeted out something that said, this is a country in which we welcome newcomers, in which we embrace the diversity and tolerance. So he was saying to anyone who wanted to know, this isn't what happened down there is not us. It's not what we do. And if you're one of the people inside our jurisdiction who's been hit by this, we'll take care of you. We'll look after you. But he didn't put a stick in the eye. There was no condemnation of the American government stand. And that's what it's going to have to be all the way along. And this is, as I said in the column on Saturday, this is as much our job as it is Trudeau's job. We need to remember two things. First of all, who we are, Toronto. This is Toronto. This is half of the population born overseas. This is the success that we've made of this country. I grew up in a place where I grew up in a time where all we did was lament the failure of Canada. What did it mean to be Canadian? Yet another Toronto Star editorial on what does it mean to be Canadian? Well, at least we're not American. That's a crummy definition. And then fighting the separatist movement in Quebec, and this perpetual agonizing sense of inferiority and uncertainty, which has gone away. It's gone away in about the last 15 years. Since about 2000, certainly when I was writing Polite Revolution, it was already disappearing. In fact, something else was coming, something really exciting, and that's what we have to hang on to. But there are guys working in Ingersoll, mostly guys on the line in Ingersoll, and in plants all across the southwest of Ontario, and in the financial services sector here, that have to have open access to the American market. They cannot be subject to any tariffs that he might want to impose. So, the other, and equally important, it's not a one or the other. There's neither one take paramountcy over the other. We have to protect those jobs. The first job of a government is to protect the incomes of its workers and its people. And how do we do that? How do we avoid the breaking point where we have to decide this or that? And we know Trudeau's doing it well because he's under equal attack from left and right. And that always sounds cliched, but you really do have columns saying it is time for us to stand up for our values and to tell the United States that we reject this rogue administration. Don't you dare, because they're talking a 20% import tariff and we have to get exempted from that. And then there are others who are saying, be very, very careful. What are you doing? You're going to anger the Americans. Yeah, but we're not going to throw refugees out of this country just because we might anger the Americans. So not appeasement on the one hand, but accommodation, is a word I much like. We have to accommodate ourselves to the Trump administration without abandoning either our values or the lives and careers of the people who depend, and who among us in the end doesn't depend on the free flow of goods and services across that border.